familiar with a lot of the studies and the management plan. And my understanding of the way that number was arrived at was based on an analysis of road densities, because my understanding was that, and this data supposedly has not been proven that accurate, but the initial analysis of wolf habitat in Wisconsin and the way packs were distributed across the landscape was often dependent on road density. And they discovered that parts of the state that the lower road density seemed to be the most ideal wolf habitat. Obviously, as the wolf numbers expanded, they discovered that probably that study and that approach was clearly the wolves were less sensitive to road density than the expectation, obviously with the substantial expansion of the wolves south of the lines they expected them to be. Is that 350 number, because it's based, I think it was my understanding, based primarily around that study, still the appropriate goal to be at for the state of Wisconsin? We can have a disease outbreak that can have a real heavy impact. We had the canine parvovirus, we had mange. You get down into a relatively low number like that, and your robustness and your ability of your populations to recover become impacted. You lack genetic diversity. Now, I realize we're seeing substantial influxes of wolves from other states that probably keep our genetic diversity good because it is a species that travels. Is that 350 number still the right number to be at? And are you going to be looking at that?
The 350 number is the number that we're using at this time, and it is the number that was identified in the wolf management plan. And I think we feel that it's important at this point that we honor the work that was done on that wolf plan. In addition to, as I understand it, in addition to the science that went into this, there is also a fair amount of social. Again, I think with any wildlife population, I understand that there's also biological and social aspects that go into determining numbers. That 350 number, from our perspective, would be the number that we would begin with moving forward with any sort of a harvest season. The thing I would also mention, if this legislation were to go forward, is I think that there's a commitment from the department that we're going to be extremely conservative moving forward. We would also want to make sure that this isn't something that we would suddenly bring the population down to that number. I think this is going to take a number of years to even approach that number through permits and through our landowner permit authorities. So, I think throughout that time and throughout the rule process as we move forward, I think there'll be a lot of discussions on quotas and goals, just as we debate every year on what quotas and goals should be for various deer management units. But at this time, I can assure you that the 350 number is the number we're using.